To share with us on why Leapset chose to embark on such a project, I would like to invite the General Manager of Leapset, Mr. Rasika Karunathilakan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you. We have an excellent turnout. In particular, we are very glad to see the top brass of the university in attendance. We also have excellent turnout from the media, despite challenging traffic conditions. And of course, we have students across all 4 years, and we have a few from the Leapset management as well. So, very glad to have you here. For my presentation today, I thought I'd give a quick introduction to the Silicon Valley. Now, since I started working for Leapset, I've been in a very fortunate position of experiencing firsthand what goes on in the Valley. Previously, I came from a semi-enterprise background myself, so it was quite a culture shock for me, and I can tell you that the way they do things there is quite drastically different to the way we have been used to in the industry. So let me take you through the spirit of the Valley in particular. That's a philosophy that comes out of that region. A few success stories. Next, let's talk about Israel, which is a location a little closer to home. And then finally, I would like to compare what we have in the Valley and Israel with what we find in Sri Lanka. And in particular, I'm going to argue towards the shift towards product innovation as opposed to standard outsourcing model that you've seen. So originally, the Valley was full of fruit orchards, in the 1800s and so on. Then in 1930 or so, Stanford University leased out a large portion of the land that they had and started a tech park. So Frederick Terman, who was the Dean of Engineering at Stanford, played a very crucial role. He nurtured HP, Hewlett and Packard, Varian Systems and a few other companies, and played an active role encouraging the students to be entrepreneurs. The term silicon was used to refer to the large concentration of chip manufacturing companies that you found in the 60s and 70s. Then in the 80s, we saw the PC revolution and, of course, the dot-com boom and beyond in the 90s. Today, Silicon Valley is the cradle of innovation. It's the technology hub, as you know. It's home to leading tech giants of the world. And in particular, when it comes to funding, right, there's a large amount of funding that goes in. Over 60% of US VC funding now ends up in the Valley. The other main regions are New York and the Boston area, but the Valley has surpassed these areas in the last few years. So just in the year 2013, we saw $30 billion US ending up in the Valley across 4,000 or so deals. So what makes the Valley the great place that it is? So a few attributes are listed here. First of all, we have great universities, right? Stanford and Berkeley are the two prime universities that we've all heard of. But there are a number of very, very small to medium-sized universities that play a crucial role in fostering that ecosystem as well. It's very entrepreneurial, right? People who end up there, generally speaking, want to take risks. They want to launch their own businesses. They want to work for something big. And also it's very multicultural, particularly from the subcontinental area. We find a large influx of migrants. Then there's a strong liaison between the universities and the industry. Stanford University in particular, as I mentioned, played a key role there. Then there's a culture of innovation. In anything they do, they look to innovate. And there's a very strong alignment of business strategy with their innovation strategy. And in fact, we see separate teams managing innovation and separate teams charged with execution of the innovation strategy. Also important is investment in research, very strong R&D focus. I spoke of the risk-taking culture. Without risk, there doesn't come reward. And also importantly, there's acceptance of failure. And in fact, admiration of failure. So in Sri Lankan culture, it's not fashionable to fail. You become an outcast. Even your family disowns you. But in the valley, particularly when it comes to funding, VCs in fact look for people who have failed because they think you learn from experience. Also exit opportunities. So there are two ways, either you sell your company or you go public. So here are some of the known success stories. Facebook, Google and Apple are household names. Apple is the largest company in the world with a market cap of about $636 billion. Google right now is in about 5th place, the world's largest companies list, market cap of $345 billion US dollars. And Facebook not too far behind. So these companies are roughly, 10 to a decade or so old. Of course, Apple is a little older. However, some of the recent successes that we've seen are slightly different. Three main attributes of the recent successes that we've seen. One is that they serve a massive social need, right? So it's companies usually try to solve existing problems that affect millions of people. Second attribute is that they connect millions of people, right? Largely due to the advent of the mobile phone and the tablet. And the third is that they monetize the very high levels of traffic that they generate. So I'd like to play a quick video. This is a company called Airbnb, one of the recent successes and one of two companies that generate the most amount of funding in the past year.
This place isn't mine, but I'm staying here for the weekend. It's not a hotel, and I had never met my host before yesterday. So how did I end up here? I booked it on Airbnb. Once I knew I was coming to this city, I took just a quick search on Airbnb to find what I was looking for. A clean, comfortable, affordable place to stay. There's a wide variety of listings, and searching is really easy. Just enter your dates and browse through pictures of available places. It's free to list, so people all over the world are posting their places, making the possibilities endless. Guillermo rents out his extra bedroom to help pay for rent. And cat food. Before you book anything, you can read reviews left by previous guests and hear all about their experiences. If you have any questions, you can message the host directly through Airbnb. When you're ready to book, you just put in your request. Airbnb holds on to your payment until 24 hours after you've checked in. After your stay, both guests and hosts can leave reviews for each other. It's a great way to share your experiences with the community and to help everybody find the perfect fit. You can stay a night, a week, or a month if you want, at any price point. You can stay in a private room in a place with other people, or you can stay in a home by yourself. These people are out of town for the weekend, so I get the whole place to myself. And when I'm out of town, I put my place on Airbnb. It helps me pay for all my adventures and lets me treat myself to something special once in a while. And with so many unique places available, all over the world, why wouldn't I? Plus, I can book from anywhere. Airbnb lets guests and hosts choose the experience they want. And on top of it all, you're saving money. And a great Airbnb experience is so effortless that the only thing left to worry about is where to go next.
So, as the story goes, the two founders, Joe Jebaya and Brian Chesky, had just graduated. They moved into San Francisco hoping to find employment. And very soon they found they were finding it difficult to pay their rent. So what they did was they bought two airbeds. Airbeds, I believe, are these things that you inflate and sleep on. And they decided to just rent out the two airbeds. And they also provided breakfast as a bonus. So Airbnb stands for, the BNB part stands for bed and breakfast. So today they are they're the largest company in their space. They've completely disrupted the global hotel industry and they've completely changed behaviors. Now, previously it wasn't fashionable going to various places, various unknown people's places and just spending the night there. But they've changed behaviors. They started off in a very small way. They first built a website, got a few of their friends to list, and gradually expanded. Today they have 600,000 listings across 34,000 cities. They processed a total of 11 million transactions across 192 countries. So all they do is connect the host and the traveler, and they charge a small commission. So it's a very simple business model. The total funding that they've raised up now is about $900 million US. Some of the well-known VCs like Sequoia Capital, TPG, and Founders Fund have invested. Also, the actor Ashton Kutcher, who acts in 2.5 Men, he's also invested a sizable amount. So the model is they have the largest inventory of rooms, but they don't own a single bed. And they've surpassed Hyatt in terms of value. So the current value is $10 million US. Hyatt is about 8.3 billion. But just look at the astronomical growth of the company. In 2012, they were worth only 1.3 billion. Today, it's worth 10 billion. So the moral of this story, and this is particularly for the students at the back, it's not always necessary to develop something very complicated. This is actually a Mickey Mouse product. Any of our students could just sit at a computer and in a couple of days probably put up a simple website that just matches the host and the traveler and charges a small commission. So very simple system, right? Not a very difficult business model, but they've revolutionized the industry. Next, let's take a look at Israel, which is a location a bit closer, and I thought it was a suitable parallel for the Sri Lankan industry. Israel is the only location to have successfully replicated what goes on in the Silicon Valley. They have only 8.3 million people, whereas in Sri Lanka we have about 21 million. But they have about 200,000 in the tech industry. They also have about 90 companies valued at about 40 billion listed on the NASDAQ. So outside the US, that's the largest number of companies. You may have heard of a recent high-profile exit. There was a company called Waze, which is a simple navigation app again. Google acquired it for 1.1 billion recently. So only $90 million in 2000, several billion in IT export revenue today. Again, very strong R&D focus. Per capita, they have the most number of scientists, and they focus on value generation. So around 200 startups are created annually, and the clear focus is on product innovation. So an example of significant value creation with a very small population. So let's take a look at the Sri Lankan IT industry, where we are right now, and what the possible future outlook should be. So the workforce is 83,000. These are the latest statistics that I have from SLASCOM. Approximately 60% of these are graduates. The rest are diploma holders and so on. 118 mid to large sized IT companies. So this doesn't include all the mushrooming web dev shops, but 118 IT companies listed with SLASCOM. Our export earnings have grown in the last few years, and now it's about $700 million US. So if I was to compare this with India with a population in IT of about 3 million, generates about $118 billion, right? So this is minuscule in comparison. So right now what we have in Sri Lanka primarily is business consulting and outsourcing. The value of the industry currently is directly proportional to the workforce, right? So unless we increase our numbers, we can't hope to even get close to India. Leaving aside India, we can't even hope to get close to some of our other neighbors, such as Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. All these countries have overtaken us long ago. And there are no signs of suddenly producing hundreds and thousands of new graduates. So our numbers are not likely to change with our current structure for a long time. So given that we don't have the population advantage, the future for Sri Lanka is in high-end, disruptive product innovation. Now, this is a fact that even people who are in outsourcing these days acknowledge. there have been other large players who also examined Sri Lanka as a possible outsourcing destination, but we simply don't have the numbers. So that is discouraging some larger consulting firms from coming in as well. So because of that, our future can only lie in product innovation. We really need to think very seriously about following the Israel model. Otherwise, the entire IT industry could be at risk, in the years to come, because we'll be overtaken. We'll be very easily overtaken by our Asian competition, and also there are a lot of other locations in South America, in parts of Europe, Eastern Europe. So we just can't compete while doing outsourcing or consulting. Just a quick overview of Leapset, since some of the senior academics might not be familiar with this. Leapset develops a technology platform for the restaurant industry. So we are headquartered in the Valley. We have our sales and marketing teams over there, and also some part of our product management effort. But the core of the engineering team is based in Sri Lanka. Leapset is also a subsidiary of Cisco Corporation, not to be confused with the router company that manufactures routers and switches. This is SYSCO. They are the world's largest food services company. So they are in the food distribution industry. They manufacture a lot of food, and they are the premier distributor to all parts of the US and also Canada and Ireland. So the big advantage to Leapset is that we have access to over 400,000 restaurants, chiefly through Cisco's nationwide sales team. So they have about 180 operating companies spread across the US. So we are able to leverage that sales network. So finally, the motivation for the lounge. So just to give you a quick background, we once paid a visit to meet the new head of the CSE department, Dr. Chatur De Silva. On the way up, we noticed that the garden was in bad shape. So we thought we'd suggest to him that we do up the garden. But he said there's something much better. We are thinking of doing up a lounge. Students don't have a proper place to study or to do their assignments or even to brainstorm. So he asked us if we would be interested, and we actually jumped at the opportunity because this was right down our street. For the last few years, we've been trying to encourage innovation across the industry and also promote a bit of entrepreneurship. So we thought that a lounge would be a very appropriate and a suitable starting point for the graduates in their journey towards innovation and entrepreneurship. So the message from my presentation is that we need to think very strongly about moving away from labor arbitrage and concentrating on product innovation. We consider the Moratuwa University to be the Stanford of Sri Lanka. It's the premier technological university in the country, and we see the university as playing a crucial role in our journey towards promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, what we are arguing is not for overnight to see hundreds of startups, right? What we're trying to do is start with a mindset change, particularly in the students, open them out to what goes on in other parts of the world, such as Silicon Valley and Israel, and gradually encourage them, towards more innovative thinking. They don't necessarily need to start their own companies. They can join established companies. A few years down the line, maybe they can think of venturing out into their own. But what we are trying to do is trying to encourage the shift, accelerate the shift. Dr. Kamagia always says, be patient. Your time will come. That's true. It will take some time for the industry to change. We need government support as well. We need more funding. Of course, there are several entrepreneurship programs out there in the market, which the university is actively involved in. I know, Visaka, you're running one. Then there's the MIT GSL program and so on. But right now, funding is not the issue. Right? It's the mindset. Right? We need to encourage more students in that direction and encourage them to even consider entrepreneurship in the future. So the lounge is merely the first step. our intentions are just to spark a little bit of creativity and bridge the gap. Hopefully, this will be the birthplace of the next big idea. You never know. And of course, Leapset as a company is very happy to partner with the university and help support, accelerate this mission. Let me just show a few pictures of the lounge. So unfortunately, you don't get the full picture because the place has been arranged for this opening ceremony, and we have chairs strewn about the place. So this area that you see in the middle. So this area that you see in the middle is a brainstorming area. Over there on the corner is the place where students can possibly work individually and do their assignments. We have writable surfaces. So this entire thing is a blackboard of sorts. Even these tables are writable surfaces. This area over here is a hangout area. There's a TV, and we hope to stream various news feeds from other parts of the world. And this is an aerial view. So there's a fridge that's supposed to come. It's not here yet, and that's going in there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I would like to invite you, sir, now to share a few words with us.
Good afternoon, all of you. Mr. Raska Karnatilaka, thank you so much for your presentation and introduction. And Mr. Shani Fernando, Managing Director of Leapset, Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Registrar Bursa, Head of the Department, Dr. Chandra Silva, all the staff members, distinguished invitees, dear students. I was actually thrilled to see this launch coming up in the Computer Science and Engineering Department. As it was informed, it is something that we were waiting for a long time. And it is quite true that Dr. Chandra Silva said that don't do the garden because there are other projects to address the garden, and these are the things that certainly we need to do because beautification we can do anyway, but we need to create that environment within the university to be the Stanford of US, of Stanford of Sri Lanka in here at Moratuwa. Let me just extend my appreciation to Leapset for your efforts to come forward and assist the Computer Science and Engineering Department to have this particular launch. And it is definitely in line with the University of Moratuwa's vision. And of course, the heads of departments and everybody knows that our vision is to be the most globally knowledge enterprise in South Asia. So this is obviously a part of that. When you say a knowledge enterprise, we not only consider the employability of our graduates or carrying out research, we certainly try to develop, generate knowledge and then transfer that kind of a knowledge to the industry. We all, most of the time, tell that we want to create or make job creators than job seekers at Moratuwa, so that these kind of entrepreneurs that you make, that you told, can be actually generated and created. And I was telling the head of department, or I have been telling whenever I have an opportunity, you have big companies like Virtusa, MIT, WSO2, all that kind of things. In Sri Lanka, you mentioned 118 companies. But I would like to proudly say that that particular big company was actually created or started by Moratuwa graduates. And I think this is the beginning. And certainly, these kind of spaces will motivate our students definitely think, because they don't want to always go and look for employment opportunities, but to really start up their own companies and so on. As you quite rightly indicated that we at Moratuwa University believe that if we need to support that kind of industry and to be another kind of Israel, we certainly have to take the leadership. And if we at Moratuwa don't take that leadership, I don't think there is any other university who actually can take the leadership. And I was looking into the attributes that you were saying, Israel country attributes, and most of the attributes are actually we have, except some money, venture capital, this and that kind of things. We have to fill the gaps. And I can see that these gaps are being filled by you coming from the industry and creating. And certainly I think after creating this kind of a setup, when our kids come out with these kind of big ideas and all that, I think they need a hand. And that is where we need to actually get together. We are very strongly connected with the industry, and we have that kind of a culture and support and all that. So if we can fill those little things that we need to fill, certainly, I'm sure Moratuwa graduates, specifically computer science and engineering graduates, will come out and play that particular role. So, as quite rightly indicated, if you want to be a knowledge economy, if you want to rise, if you want to go out of the middle income trap in the process of development, we need to be like an Israel model. So, it is through innovation and entrepreneurship that we can actually do that. Moratuwa University has been taking many actions in that, and we can proudly say that we are the only university, even now, have the IPR policy and commercialization policy. And we support our staff members and students to get the IPR rights, not only locally, but internationally. Recently, we filed an intellectual property in the US by spending quite a lot of money from the university, together with the Rubber Research Institute as well. And we try to create that culture within the university. And as it was mentioned, that we established this chair on entrepreneurship funded by the NDB Bank about 2-3 years ago to enhance that culture. We have already started some programs. So for example, in the first year, all the engineering disciplines now embrace the entrepreneurship mind. And there is a basket of subjects students can do. They can have their own student companies while they are studying in the university, and support getting from the industry as well. That's actually through that chair. And then you mentioned about the global startup company supported by the MIT, which is again coming up as a very successful model, and there is already a team here in Sri Lanka, and the program is going on with the IT faculty students and the computer science and engineering students as well. And we have just about 1 month ago signed an agreement with IFS, another IT giant in Sri Lanka, to establish a chair on innovation and entrepreneurship. And currently, we have advertised globally to get a good person to create that culture within the University of Moratuwa. So if anyone of you can support to find out a best brain to occupy that place, so that this culture can be enhanced as well. So these are some of the things that we have been doing, and we support all our students to go out and compete with all these competitions for innovations and entrepreneurship, and we connect with the industry to get whatever the possible funding to support our kids as well. And I'm sure that industry is having growing competition, growing liking to Moratuwa University, because we have been, you can say that it's output oriented or outcome oriented most of the time, to say that we do, even when we do research which are useful to the industry. So in that context, we have aligned ourselves to the needs of the country and needs of the industry as well. So I think you're thinking that Moratuwa University is the best technical university, and for you it is MIT or Stanford or Berkeley or whatever it is. Different times we use different terminology, that we would like to have Moratuwa as MIT in Sri Lanka, and Treasury Secretary used to say that MIT Sri Lanka is Stanford or Berkeley or whatever. It is the same kind of concepts that we are actually trying to develop. And when we see the things happening, actually about 2-3 years ago, although we were telling these kind of things, we were thinking that, we are dreaming, and it is too far that we cannot really achieve these kind of things when we talked about MIT of Sri Lanka here at Moratuwa. But for some reason, actually, everybody is beginning to align, all the students, the staff members, the industry, and all the other players, and we see that we are actually fast reaching that status. And certainly with these kind of things will go a long way in trying to attract and trying to be in that position. So let me once again appreciate your efforts for coming forward and support Moratuwa. Let me congratulate Dr. Chandra De Silva and his team at CSE to support, and of course Dr. Chandra Gamagi, the former head of department, would have had a hand on this one as well. And for supporting establishment of this one, this is CSE is always, I consider, as a trendsetter in the Faculty of Engineering and the University of Moratuwa. So this is a trend, and this is a department which sets these kind of trends for the other departments as well. So I think the engineering is here as well. So the engineering will bringing these ideas to the faculty and encourage other departments to have these kind of spaces as well. And to have a little bit of a slightly bigger idea, Dr. Chakurudi Silva knows about it as well. And when I visited last time Singapore National University, I actually visited their enterprise. And they have the enterprise, a much bigger working place, a much bigger institute. In fact, we plan to submit a separate budget item for this year. And in fact, we requested in a lighter way, but I think we need to go with a much better proposal for the next budget to get a specific funding to create that institute called the enterprise, and which is outside all the faculties, and that enterprise supports all these innovation ideas. Whatever the faculty it is coming from, they actually take the students and fund the students, provides venture capital, and send them to Stanford as well. And the students are actually given the training in the Stanford and to promote these kind of things and then put in the Singapore industry. So that's the kind of an idea we have. So these kind of small steps definitely might become big steps for us in our efforts. So I'm sure everybody here in the university will support those kind of dreams to achieve. And with that, let me once again express my appreciation, congratulate the department, and all the very best for the labs and the kids to come out as innovators and entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Professor Jayawardane, for your thoughtful words. This is undoubtedly a small step towards something big of creating an Israel in Sri Lanka. I would now like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Professor UG Puspayawagar, to share a few words with us.
Director and General Manager of Leapset, all the distinguished guests from Leapset, and Vice-Chancellor Jayawardane, Registrar, and all our staff and the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Actually, I was, as the Vice-Chancellor said, I was very glad to see the contribution in the Leapset to set up this lounge to develop the skills of our computer science and engineering students here. The Faculty of Engineering is about 2/3 of this university, and our latest asset, as we can say, is that we get the cream of the students from the advanced level. So all these students who are sitting here have come at the very top of the whole island. So that is the best asset that we have, the greatest asset that we get here. The best students, and then we have a very good staff also. We have a cadre of about 300 in the Faculty of Engineering, and we have recognized the requirements of entrepreneurship and innovation and intellectual property and so on in the university. At Vice-Chancellor, we started it some time ago. He was actually the first chair professor in entrepreneurship. And we have introduced a set of courses leading the students, guiding the students towards entrepreneurship. It is taking time. It will not take up. These things do not happen overnight, so it takes a little time. So it's picking up students who are interested to do that. There are drawbacks. There are some advances also. But we hope that it is catching up, and then we have introduced innovation as much as possible. There are other departments who are doing this in a big way also. This is the Computer Science and Engineering department. We also have the Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering department, where the students also are involved in activities. Then we have the Mechanical Engineering department. So we offer the engineering degree in 10 disciplines now. There is the newest one is the biomedical engineering. So all of them are actually most of these departments are enthusiastic about this entrepreneurship and innovation. So we are trying to bring the students to that stage, and I hope that our students have taken a lot of scored a lot of global achievements. I need not list down these things at the moment, but they are very capable and given the facilities. So and the department, and these departments need a lot of space, and we are waiting to get the upper 2 floors of this building. It is at the moment, it is architecture faculty, and they are on the way moving out. There are new buildings being constructed. So once they move out, this department, the computer science department, computer science and engineering, and the electrical engineering department will occupy this entire building. There are 2 more floors to come in, and then I hope that we will get sufficient space, because the computer science is now already one of the largest departments, because they are taking 125 intake, which is equal to civil engineering intake, which is 120. But that is the largest intake by a single department, 125. Some other departments take 100, others take less than that. So with time, I hope these things will catch up, and I hope that this space, what you have donated, I am very grateful, and I very appreciate, highly appreciate your gesture of coming forward to assist the department and the university and the faculty by contributing to upgrade this space as a launch. And then I hope that in future we will be able to improve further and contribute to the national building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Department of Computer Science and Engineering, but also as one with a very strong industry relationship. I would now like to invite Dr. Chathan De Silva, the head of the Computer Science and Engineering Department, to share a few words.
Vice-Chancellor, sir, the Dean, the Registrar, and the Administration, our invite is from Leapset, and my colleagues in the department and their friends. About 30 years ago, our department started as a very small entity in the university, taking 16 students. And over these 30 years, we have almost increased our intake by 800%. Not only that, and we are very proud to say that we are the department which produces mostly sought after graduates maybe in the entire country. And in fact, tomorrow we are in the careers fair. There will be about 25 companies, employers, coming and practically competing to get these 100 students who are scheduled to pass out in six months' time. So, and at the same time, as myself and the deans mentioned, I mean, we are kind of a unique department in the university in multiple ways. And as the dean said, we take the largest intake. And in our curriculum, we have the most diversified option modules available for students, and large number of options are available for students. They can take things from various areas within computer engineering. And also, we have the highest staff to student ratio, because we take a lot of students, we have bigger staff. And we are the smallest in terms of physical space. Actually, if you take the entire space divided by the number of students, we have less than 6 square feet per student. So if the entire group comes into the department, there won't be space for them. So hopefully we will get the upper floors maybe sometime this year or next year, and then get things out. Now, I mean, to tell you a little bit of background behind why we needed a space like this was that, I mean, over the past few years, the department has been changing our curriculum to outcome-based education, and as part of that, as well as to enhance students' innovations, and they want to create them to think new. We have introduced a lot of activity-based things in our curriculum. So when you say activity-based, one problem that we faced and one complaint that we got from students is that they don't have space to work, and they don't have a space which is conducive for new thinking, and let's say think and work and things like that. So this requirement was there for some time, and about 3 months ago, Rasika and Iranti came to the department just to talk with us and see how they can help. We frequently get industry coming to our department asking how they can help, and also we work very closely with the industry. And during that discussion, we mentioned this requirement, and they took it on board, and maybe within less than 2.5 months, we have this group, this entity. To tell you the truth, I mean, this is much better than what we actually expected. I mean, like, we were simply in the space so that student can work, but they came up with much bigger idea, and they did much more than what we expected. And I firmly believe that, I mean, this will be a trend setter, not only for other departments, maybe also for the industry. to show that how they can support universities and doing that. And I'm pretty much sure that this will be the place for some of the big ideas to come in the future. And also, we are trying to get the maximum use out of this, and we will keep this lab open on a 24-hour basis. It's under CCTV surveillance, and we will get electronic card access locks to those. And after that, it will be kept open for 24-hour basis so that we can get the maximum use of that. And again, before I conclude, I just need to leave it with earlier. There's another meeting in Colombo. So let me thank again for Leapset for charging this help in this providing this facility, and also helping us in many other ways. Not only this one, helping us in many other ways in various activities that we do at the department. Thank you.